Well, the deadly shooting at Umpqua Community College has reignited the often highly emotional debate over gun control in the U.S., and Republican presidential candidate Ben Carson entered that fray. We talked about it. He sparked the controversy by arguing the Holocaust might not have happened had more people been armed. In a new interview just an hour ago, my colleague Andrea Mitchell asked Carson to clarify that point of his statement.
The Holocaust. This also was raised, and you suggested that if the Jews had been armed, if they had had guns, Hitler could not have succeeded. Isn't that mischaracterizing the enormity of what happened?
Well, not only the Jews, but the entire populace. This is a general pattern that you see before tyranny occurs. There are many countries where that has occurred, where they disarm the populace before they impose their tyrannical rule. That's not a rare situation.
So joining me now is Democratic Congressman Steve Israel of New York. Sir, thank you for making time for me.
Thank you,
first
Thomas.
of all, your personal reaction to these remarks, and do you feel that they belong in the current political dialogue?
No, of course not. Dr. Carson's remarks are as odious as they are historically ignorant. Unlike Dr. Carson, I actually know something about the Holocaust. Before coming to Congress, I created an organization called the Institute on the Holocaust and the Law. And if Dr. Carson would at least have a basic knowledge of the Holocaust, he would know that gun control did not cause the extermination of 6 million Jews and so many others. Anti-Semitism did. Nazism did. A totalitarian regime did. So those kinds of parallels are unfounded. They are sad, and quite honestly, Dr. Carson owes an apology to those who think about the memory of the Holocaust every day.
And, sir, he kind of expanded on that in a broader context here, talking about tyranny throughout history when speaking with Andrea. So could more guns have stopped genocide and war and the strife we've seen throughout the past century? And even in modern day, the argument all the time that we hear, well, it's just going to take a good guy with a gun to stop a bad guy with a gun.
The argument may make good rhetoric, but it is historically unfounded. It is not statistically true. It is what somebody says when they're pandering to a right-wing base. It is not what somebody says when they're really interested in finding a solution. The answer to violence is not more violence. And to suggest for a moment that an 85-year-old Jewish woman being marched to Auschwitz, or a 5-year-old Jewish boy being marched to the crematoria could have stopped that by grabbing a gun against a totalitarian regime, it would be funny if it weren't so sad, Thomas.
Congressman, I want to switch gears and talk with you now about the interesting developments, excuse me, the interesting developments with Kevin McCarthy taking his name out of contention to be the next speaker. Explain what you think is going on, and we expect to hear Nancy Pelosi give an update at a news conference, I think at the half-hour mark. But explain what this crisis is having on the working body of our Congress.
Well, I just saw Paul Ryan on the floor of the House. We just finished votes, and now most of Congress is leaving here to go home to their districts for the next week. And he was surrounded by my colleagues. I don't know what decision he's going to make. I do know that this chaos in the Republican caucus is bad for the Congress. It's bad for the country. We have looming deadlines. We have highway construction workers who may lose their jobs because the Republicans have not extended the Highway Trust Fund. Instead of focusing on the Highway Trust Fund, they're focusing on who the next speaker is going to be. We have a debt ceiling. We have a shutdown. We have the Export-Import Bank. This is not about inside baseball in Washington. This is affecting people's paychecks. It's going to affect people's jobs. And the Republicans have to get their act together. Here's how they can do it. It's very simple. Give us a speaker who has three skills: the ability to negotiate, the ability to compromise, and the ability to get the Republican caucus to get things done. The problem we have now is the Freedom Caucus refuses to support any candidate with any one of those skills.
We shall see if they can find somebody with the three things that you mentioned. Congressman Steve Israel, thank you, sir, for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you.